Thanks everyone for coming. My name's Matthew Saponaro, and I'm the owner of AI Whoo. So we focus around the problems of how do you move um, in order to help clinicians make some uh, diagnostics to help to evaluate treatments. So typically, if you want to know how people are moving, there's existing methods, right? You can go to one of those labs that take up a lot of real estate. They have a lot of expensive equipment, and it's for a patient. It's another trip to that external lab. A lot of clinicians they go through this personal observation. Sometimes it's subjective. Maybe some clinicians may evaluate as a 3.5. Some may evaluate at like a level 4. Um, and again, it takes up clinician time because then they have to go in and write into the chart and say, okay, here's all the things that they saw, right? It's that manual input of records. And these type of assessments don't even get at the how the patient's moving in their environment that they frequently go at. Just by telling the patient, hey, move here. It's not at their home. It's not at where they work. It's not at where they live, essentially. And there may be other things around the house or around their day-to-day environment that the clinician may be ignoring, such as hazards or even support mechanisms. And so this leads to an issue of a patient being seen infrequently, maybe once every 6 months. And a lot of clinicians with all these problems are always questioning, are these assessments even billable? Um, so what we've done is we've looked at, what is a good solution. We want something that's accessible so that something can be done at the clinic or in, care facility or even at home, maybe even done via telehealth. We want something that's objective so that if multiple clinicians were to get to look at the same patient, they would get the same result. And we want something that's simple and saves time. So you click a button and some report goes into the medical records. And so we've developed quite a few solutions. One of the solution is this gait vision assessment. Essentially, it's a piece of software run on the iPhone, and it just you point, record, and as a patient walks through, or as a nurse is walking through on the right there, click the little record button, and then the person just walks through, and it provides a little report at the end. And because it's all digital, it just gets directly imported into the medical records. And because it's done on an iPhone, it can be done anywhere. So you can get the full body motion without all those rigs. So it can be done at home or even in a narrow hallway in the clinic. And the beauty of it all is that with the iPhone, it has a few new technologies out there. It has all those cameras, but one of them, which is the LiDAR, it allows to get that very precise, accurate measurements in order for us to make those clinical decisions, right? With the gait assessment specifically, we want to be within less than 30 millimeters of error, and with the LiDAR, we're able to do that. So. We've been developing quite a few other types of technologies. This one is actually being done from a laptop camera. Essentially, it's to measure the fine motor control of each of the different fingers in the hands. You can do left versus right. And again, we have this mechanism that just measures how the patient's moving and just gets injected into the medical record. And so we've done quite a different variety of movements. And so this is an example. We actually had a touchless little kiosk that I'm showing you right here, and it's doing bicep, and I'm doing bicep curls, and it's counting my reps, but it's also looking at fatigue it's actually telling you the time it takes in order for me to continue each of the different reps. And so the beauty of it is that after so many reps, if I do it until failure, I can start looking at what point do I get fatigued and how do I push through that fatigue. So with my amazing acting skills right now, you can see that it's taken me a lot longer compared to the rest of the data on rep 8 or 9, whatever, off by 1 or 8, in order for me to keep going. And so this is kind of cool because it essentially, we see how we're moving and pushing through that. In the bottom left, while this thing is going, we've done this on the athletic population in order to measure power, and to rank athletes and to help with injury prevention. Now, in the big video that you saw right there, that's kind of like one of the dashboards. There's a QR code that you scan, and let me just speed it up real quick because you just sign in, and basically it gives you a report of all the other things that you've done. So you can see the history of all the bicep curls and such. Now, what I'm about to show you is this counter movement jump. Again, it's another of, it's a valid movement to assess lower extremity power, which is, this one's pretty interesting to see, like on the way. So if you have an athlete and they get injured, how, at what level are they back to play, if you will? So I did my 3 jumps, and now you can scan the little system, and you can see the peak. You can see the power that I'm generating, or more specifically, the speed that I'm doing on the liftoff. So we get my little graph right there. You can see that my first jump was the highest, and because I'm in the basement, I was like, oh, I don't want to hit my head, so I jumped a little bit less, and so you can see that. So it finally gives me a score of 6.46, which is essentially 6.46 miles per hour. That's how fast I was like jumping. So now the really cool thing is that if you want to have patients do certain prescriptive exercises, for recovery, and maybe through a telehealth setting, or post recording or something like that, what you're seeing right now is I'm actually recording my movement, and then I'm going to click the little stop button. Again, it's all touchless. I like touchless things. And then I get to go follow along with the movements that I just recorded as my prescription, if you will. And so it's kind of cool because you can record these sessions, and it can be asynchronous, or you can review it after the fact. Now, to just give you a very complex type of movement, we have this person saying, here's the dance that should be done. And then here's what the person's actually doing. And this is what's going on behind the scenes, is actually calculating differences between. So you can see there's a little bit of red right here at the shoulders. Why? It's because the person's, they have the wrong angle on their shoulder. It should be moving up, right? So we can actually very granularly say, at this particular time, this was what you should have been doing, and this is what you weren't doing. And so that's pretty useful to say, like, are the patients actually following the correct exercises? Are they going through the right movements? Are they doing things that are engaging the right muscles? And so this is telling you that type of objective information, if you will, because it's giving you like pure numbers of this is how much far you're deviating from. So it's kind of cool to being able to do this now. And again, it's just from a phone or from a laptop, being able to do this. So we're all about increasing that accessibility, accessibility to these assessments, and helping the clinicians reduce time. So we've been working on quite a few other types of technologies. This is kind of in beta right now. But this is like a cranial nerve exam. So if you have a patient that potentially may be having a stroke, you want to make them look to the left, look up, look down, making sure all of the different. And so right now I'm doing my eye checks and making sure I'm smiling correctly. And right here in this little image right here, it's showing you. And now this isn't like a line. I was like going crazy, but you can see, where is my nose actually going when I'm moving left? Where's my nose going when I'm moving right? Here's my eyes when I'm, going up, down, left, and right. And I was just doing all over, and so it wasn't the greatest. But we actually can get some objective measurements and say, if I'm forcing, if my face is drooping a little bit to the right, you can see that the angle of my left side is, slightly lower than the angle from my right side. And so looking at those asymmetries, and those will be very valuable in determining, first of all, did an event happen? And second of all, you know, after the fact, are they recovering and going back to their symmetrical face, the symmetrical face. So, yeah. And so we've done quite a lot of work with the local athletic population and some of the things that we've been doing, just because there's an interest in injury prevention and recovery. And so we did quite a variety of drills of cardiovascular endurance. It showed the bicep curls, and we even did the counter movement jump. And so we're able to say, like, here's the people at the top, here's the people at the bottom. We've also done a lot of work with the soccer team. And with the soccer team, there was not the Deltec soccer team, it was with the Chase Fieldhouse, the Sporting Delaware. And so we saw this distribution where there's people really high up here and people really way down here. And the thing is, by putting it into a distribution on the team level, I mean, you're able to see what people are continuously putting more effort in. And the thing that leads to injury is when they're overusing, right? And so the people at the bottom of the curve, we can actually say they have to work X times harder in order to keep up with the same drills of the people at the top of the curve. And so that can really help to individualize a training regimen in order to not have injury. So that's a cool one. And so we've done quite a lot of work, again, with soccer players. This is like tracking the soccer player team. We were actually able to predict that one of this athlete right here, he was looked like he had injuries during the middle of the game. You can see his graph of his movement over time, and it just like had a huge drop off. During the halftime, and it was like, okay, what's going on? Well, a few weeks later, he actually had an injury and was pulled out for the rest of the season. So that was a big one. And so the things that we're doing, there are insurance codes that are able to bill for this in the clinic and also in the remote therapeutic monitoring side of things, from getting patients set up to looking to actually doing the assessments, and then also to doing any reviews and such. So and so we try to be HIPAA compliant, essentially, by doing this, skeleton on top of the person, we're not saving people's images, and all the data is being processed locally. It's being processed right on the laptop, right on the phone. And the thing that gets communicated outwards is exactly this little skeleton thing over time. So we try to reduce the amount of sensitive information and only securely send this information over, and get this injected into the health information network. So we're primarily targeting like telehealth settings, physical therapy, and even primary care in order to deliver these types of assessments. So we actually just got awarded the Delaware Edge grant. That was for us to do this gate vision technology, and to help us do a validation study and to go out to conferences and to step towards this FDA approval in order to get this out into a larger field. So if anyone is wanting to assist with this validation study that we just got awarded to, or to help us be a pilot partner to get some clinician feedback, we'd love to have that collaboration. So yeah, it's just been a wonderful opportunity for the Delaware Edge program. So thank you so much, and I'm open to any questions. So.